are leaving to go do our Hebrew lesson, and it is, I think, literally 0 degrees, so I couldn't start our van, which means we're all gonna have to fit in this car, which isn't the most legal thing, but we're only going like a mile. You gotta lay down.
I hate being rushed as a rule of thumb. Makes me feel a little crazy. I don't even really like going out of the house in general, but when I have to go out of the house and it's like rush, 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 it's like, ugh, I hate that.
For this Hebrew game, we have to answer these questions and put this list of stuff in our basket. And me and my dad are on a team.
You have to go find it.
And them two are on a team. And Eden and Memory are on a team.
Look who's down there. Who do you see? Is that Mama?
We're almost done, but everyone else is ahead of us.
I don't know what's happening now, but I think they're doing some sort of like game to determine who the actual winner is, because there's no way to really determine who the real winner is, although I think it should be us.
Dove and Eden won, and they both won a chocolate cake.
We're done with our Hebrew lesson, but now we're buying stuff for Shabbat, and I am so ready to go home. We've been here for like 2 hours. We are starting Shabbat Cleanup right now, and that is, we clean up the whole house once a week really well, because tonight and tomorrow is our rest day. We have our Shabbat dinner tonight, and tomorrow we have Shabbat breakfast, and it's just a time where we set apart every week where we just try to rest. And having a clean house, for me especially, is way more restful. Here we got the entryway. It's kind of crazy. Kitchen is a bit of a wreck. We've got stuff everywhere. Dirty dishes. So we are going to fix that. We're done with Shabbat cleanup, and now we're going to get some renewed passports for Memory and Filia. I don't actually feel like we're fully done with Shabbat cleanup, but it's gonna be good enough for now. This kind of looks the same. 7 cleaned up. This looks a lot better, if you can remember that. Better, better, better. This place is kind of a wreck again because we just had lunch, but dishes are mostly done. Dove and Eden have lunch cleanup. We gotta go.
Look at that picture from before. That's really different. Memories. These are how her pictures turned out, and that's hers from before. We don't have any immediate travel plans. In fact, it's because we're going on this hike for 6 months. We know we're not going to be going anywhere internationally for 6 months. But in the past, like whenever we've wanted to travel international, sometimes it's been last minute. And getting passports like last minute has been like a very expensive pain. So we like to make sure all our kids have current passports, and for some reason, these are the only 2 kids that don't have them. It is like a little bit expensive. I think it's like $100 each, but they last for 5 years, and we travel enough that it makes it worthwhile to keep them current, I think.
I forgot to bring a check with me because that's the only way that you can pay to get your passports renewed. You have to send a check in. So I am going home and grabbing that, and Ben is waiting at the passport office for me for those things. Got him. We felt like we deserved a break.
And by we, she meant her.
Me.
Okay, we are ready for our Shabbat, which is starting in like 5 minutes. We're gonna be having Reuben's. It's like New York deli night with chips and soda, so I'm pretty excited about that. My parents are coming over, and Cammie is kind of stressing out down there, so she doesn't want to be a part of this little filming goodbye thing. We're really glad that we have the opportunity to share what we're learning with you guys and what we're experiencing and going through. If you're new here, we're really glad you're here, and we hope you find some value in just the sharing that we're doing with our lives. This day in particular, this day which we call Shabbat, or some people call it like Sabbath, which means rest, is like the most valuable, special day of our week, and in some ways even year. And what that means is starting at dinner, like right now, for 24 hours, we like take a break from really anything that feels like work. What feels like work has changed over time for us, but this day and the ability to kind of like stop from things that feel necessary or compulsive and even good the other 6 days, I think has done more to shape us as a family and our community and even our belief system than almost anything. And I want to just give like one little example, because this is something that's come up with our family that we've talked about around Christmas time, and I never got the chance to share it on this vlog. But we believe like Jesus is our hero, basically, as a family. I don't know how else to say it. Whatever you call yourself religiously, that's the simplest way to explain what we're about as a family. It's hard to know like what to make of that. Like there's Bible stories about what Jesus did and things that he said, and in some ways the Bible feels like this really old-fashioned dusty book, and I've tried my whole life to not make it feel that way, but it still kind of does. But in the like Hebrew scriptures, or what people refer to as the Old Testament, there's this really like kind of wild practice. And it was called Shabbat. And in fact, it started with the very first story in the Bible is about creation. And regardless of if you believe it or not, or if you think it's literal or not, it goes something like this: that in the first 6 days, God made like light and dark, and land and sea, and animals and fish and humans, and all these cool things. And then it says the strangest thing. It says that on the 7th day, God rested. Like God. And it like kind of doesn't make sense in a way, like did he get tired? But the way that we've come to see this is built into the text with the clues when he looks back at the previous 6 days and he says, it is good. Another way of phrasing that would be to say, it is good enough. Even God, who like could have probably made things better, he said that about his own work. And he told his people, it's like one of the 10 commandments, that's like what we call it, the 10 commandments, is to observe the Sabbath day or Shabbat and to keep it holy, to set it apart from the other days of the week. And throughout like the entire Bible, like the Jews and his people, they did this. And it goes beyond that though. It wasn't just once every 7 days, like once every 7 years, they're supposed to let the ground rest. And then after like every 7 times of 7 years, so every 49 years, they were supposed to like take a break completely. And this year was called Jubilee, and a lot of crazy things happened this year. It was a very unique year. They set slaves free, they canceled debts. I mean, it was almost like a reset, ultimate rest party year. Now, I say this to say like, okay, just imagine that for a second. Like if in our culture, how big of an impact it would have on our culture, our businesses, our lives, our schedules, if we knew that once every 49 years, that type of celebration was going to happen and that type of freedom could be realized for all people. Now, around Christmas time, we remind our kids of this story, and it's actually a huge reminder to me that like the genealogy of Jesus, of how he came to be, is really kind of weird. And this is like gonna sound kind of math and kind of weird, but hang with me for probably literally 60 seconds here. The genealogy of Jesus from Abraham to David looks like this. There was 14 generations, okay? Which is, if you do the math, 2 sevens. And then from David to the exile of the Jewish people, it was another 14 generations. So once again, it's 2 sevens, okay, 14. And then from the Babylonian exile to the time Jesus shows up, it's another 2 sevens, okay? So we have a total of 6 sevens from Abraham to Jesus. So when Jesus shows up, he's the 7th 7. He is Shabbat. He is rest. He is Jubilee. Like this day that we celebrate, it's not just like this thing like, oh, we got to do this, the Bible says it, or we're going to go to hell or be not good or whatever. It's actually like the more we understand rest and redemption and having debts canceled and partying, the more we understand the personhood of who Jesus is. And I think I always thought Christianity or religion was like a religion of work. It was like what you did. And now I see Christianity and Jesus, it's actually a religion of rest. What it means is we're able to look back at our week, at the things, you know, I want to make sure this microphone is still on. We're able to look back at the things that we did incompletely or imperfectly and the things that we didn't do. And this could be morally, or this could actually be practically with like email and laundry. And we can say it is good enough because Jesus compensates for the work that we can't do. And that's what that whole story of him having to die was all about. It made it so that his perfect work could transfer onto us. So I think that math of him being the 7th 7, like, was like a major part of his identity. In fact, like in the Gospel of Matthew, like this is the first book of what Christians refer to as the New Testament. It starts off that way. It goes through all that math and shows you right there, hey, that holiday that you've been celebrating this entire time, that isn't just a day of a year of the calendar or a day of the week. That was actually supposed to be a person, and he's here. So that's why we do it. It's not this like academic thing. I mean, there's parts of it that are a discipline, but it's so much more than that. It's really a celebration, and it changes how we see the other 6 days of the week. Knowing that you're going to look back and say that we're already good enough, it changes why you can work. You don't have to work to try and be good enough ever. And I don't know. I just really hope for those of you who have wondered who Jesus is, or even maybe you believe in him but you don't know how to feel it, that maybe you would try something like this out, because in the beginning it's very hard to rest. There's almost nothing more difficult. It was way easier to try and work my ass off to try and prove to all these people that I was good enough. That was all I knew in life. So to take a break from that, it was really challenging, everything I knew. So we do that every week. We don't vlog. Tomorrow we're getting donuts, which Cami is really excited about. We do that on the first Saturday of every month. So we do have a vlog episode that's just dedicated to showing you our Shabbat. Maybe I'll try and get Dove to put the link at the end of this video. Otherwise, we really are thankful that you guys get to see a part of our lives and hear us talk about something that's really been life-changing and valuable to us. We hope you guys are able to find rest in your own life, and we'll see you on Monday. So Shabbat Shalom, that's what we say as a family, and it means rest and peace, and we hope that we're able to find rest and peace while we're living, not just after we die, because that's the thing that's like written on people's gravestones, and we think it's the most crazy thing that Jesus allowed us to feel. So Shabbat Shalom.